Hello, welcome back to Learn Economia. In this video, we are going to discuss the multiplier effect. In specific, we will be looking at the investment multiplier, the concept put forward by Keynes. For the sake of convenience, I have divided this topic into two videos. I could see that this topic is a bit lengthy, so what I have done is that I have divided this topic into two videos. Part 1 is dealt with in this video, and the part 2 would be discussed in yet another video, which I'll be doing very soon, and I will be giving you the link. So with that, let's move on to the video. Before starting, let me give you an intro of myself. I am working as the head in charge of Department of Economics in one of the reputed colleges which come under the University of Kerala. I am a PhD holder. I have secured first rank in both BA as well as MA Economics. I have qualified for both UGC NET and JRF in economics. In the case of UGC NET, I have qualified for it thrice, and in UGC JRF, I have qualified for it twice. Okay, so with that, let's move on to the topic. Having discussed the classical and the Keynesian approaches to the determination of income, output and employment, let's understand the concept of multiplier. Now, the theory of multiplier, especially when it comes to the case of economics, we have to understand that there have been a lot of multiplier effects, not only the investment multiplier, there have been many other the concept of multiplier has been used in many other arenas in economics. Like not only in the case of investment, we could see this in the case of taxes, we could see this in the case of exports. So this is not a new concept in the arena of economics, but you have to understand that the theory of multiplier occupies a very important role, especially in the modern theory of income and employment. Okay, now the concept of multiplier, it was first introduced by F.A. Khan during the 1930s and all, during the time of Great Depression, but it was Keynes who later refined it. Okay, now Khan he developed the concept of multiplier with reference to the increase in employment, direct as well as indirect, as a result of the initial increase in investment and employment. That means that what Khan developed is employment multiplier. Now, Keynes, on the other hand, he has propounded the concept of multiplier with reference to the increase in total income, looking at both direct and indirect aspects as a result of original increase in investment and income. So, what Keynes put forward is that investment multiplier. Okay, so this is a difference between what Khan has put forward and what Keynes has put forward. Now, coming back to the concept of investment multiplier and employment multiplier. In the case of Khan, multiplier is known as employment multiplier. In the case of Keynes, it is known as the investment multiplier or income multiplier. The essence of multiplier is that total increase in income. Now, coming to the case of investment multiplier, we can see that it is the total increase in income as a result of the original increase in investment. So we are looking at the effect of increase in income as a result of increase in investment. That is known as the investment multiplier. Now, in order to make you understand more better, I have used an example here. For you can take the example. If the investment is equal to 100 crore, this is the initial level of investment. The initial level of investment is 100 crore, and from this investment we could make a rise in the income, and this rise is by 100 crores only. But can we say that it is only 100 crores? No. If you invest 100 crores, that means that then there is a multiplier effect, and as a result of this multiplier effect, the income would rise by more than 100 crores. That means that if as a result of investment of 100 crores, the national income increases by at least 300 crores. So the multiplier is equal to 3. If as a result of investment of 100 crores, the total income increases by 400 crores. That means that the multiplier is 4. Okay. So the multiplier is the ratio of increment in income as a result of increment in investment. So it is a proportion. It is a ratio of increment in income to increment in investment. Delta I stands for increment in investment, and delta Y stands for resultant increase in income. So the multiplier is equal to the ratio of increment in income, that is delta K, to increment in investment, that is delta I. That is K is the multiplier and it can be found by delta Y by delta I. Now we have to ask the question, why the increase in income is many times more than the initial increase in investment? It is not same as the initial investment, but it is more than the initial level of investment, right? Suppose you can take the case when the government undertakes investment up to 100 crores in the economy on some public works. For example, you can take the example of construction of rural roads and all. So the government is incurring some expenditure or do undertake some investment. The government will pay wages to the laborers engaged. It has to pay for the prices of the materials or raw materials to be used to the suppliers, and also it has to incur expenditure like the remuneration to other factors of production. Okay, so the total cost will be amounting to 100 crores. Just imagine that, and this will increase income of the people, which would be equal to 100 crores. Like that is income equals expenditure. But this is not the entire story. The people who receive 100 crores, they will spend their income upon the goods and services. For example, the person who is employed as a wage earner there, or as a employee there, what he does is that at the end of the day, after his work, as remuneration, he would be getting his wage, right? And he would spend this in the consumer market, and he would be buying certain things from the consumer market. Also, he would be paying for certain services like this. He's incurring some kind of expenditure out of his remuneration. And suppose the marginal propensity to consume of the people is 4/5 or 80%. Then what happens is that out of rupees 100 crores, people will spend rupees 80 crores on consumer goods, which would increase the income of those people who supply consumer goods, right? The sellers would be getting money, right? The seller who is selling goods to the these laborers, daily laborers or employees would be getting some money, and this would be equal to rupees 80 crores. But those who receive these 80 crores will also turn to spend these incomes, right? These people, they won't keep money with them, or they won't keep their money in the pocket. They will be spending because they too have their own needs. So this would depend upon their marginal propensity to consume. And if their marginal propensity is to consume is 4/5, that is again 80%, then they will spend rupees 64 crores on consumer goods. This will further increase income of some other people, which is equal to 64 crore rupees. And in this way, there would be a chain of consumption expenditure, and this would continue, and this would lead to increase in the income. But every additional increase in income will be progressively less, since a part of the income received will be saved. Okay, so if you go to the next level, initially we had 100 crores. From this 100 crores we came to 80 crores. From this 80 crores we came to 64 crores. In the next level it would be less than 64 crores. Okay, because people are saving as a little bit of their income as in the form of their savings. So they are consuming only a bit. That not a bit, they are consuming only an 80% of their income. The rest 20% is saved, right? So thus we can see that the income will not increase by 100 crores, which was initially invested in the construction of road, but by many times more. So if you look at the derivation of investment multiplier, in order to understand how much increase in national income will take place as a result of an initial increase in investment, this can be expressed in the form of an equation or mathematical form. You can see that increase in income of delta Y is equal to 100 plus 100 into 4/5 plus 100 into 4/5 raised to 2 plus 100 into 4/5 raised to 3 and so on. Okay, and this will be equal to 100 into 1 plus 4/5 plus 4/5 raised to 2 plus 4/5 raised to 3 and so on. And this will go as a series in one of the geometric progression, and this increase in income will be delta Y, that is equal to 100 into 1 by 1 minus 4/5, that is 100 into 1 by 5, which is 100 into 5 and 500. It is thus clear that if the marginal propensity to consume is 4/5 or 80%, the investment of 100 rupees or 100 crore rupees would lead to increase in the national income by 500 crores. Therefore, multiplier here is equal to 5. We can express this in a general formula. Okay. And that means that if delta Y stands for increase in income and delta I stands for increase in your investment, then MPC, that is marginal propensity to consume, is that. So MPC, you know, right? MPC is the marginal propensity to consume. How much increase in your consumption is made as a result of increase in your income. So here delta Y is equal to delta I into 1 by 1 minus MPC. That is delta Y by delta I is equal to 1 by 1 minus MPC. Delta Y by delta I, which measures the size of the multiplier, and therefore the size of the multiplier is 1 by 1 minus MPC. So this means that the size of the multiplier depends upon your marginal propensity to consume, and the marginal propensity to consume, or this is very much important when it comes to the theory put forward by Keynes. We have understood how marginal propensity to consume is like it is changing as a result of your changes in your income and all. So especially when we have dealt with absolute income hypothesis and all. So we have to see that we can express a multiplier in a very simple form, that is saving. We know that it is equal to income minus consumption, and 1 minus marginal propensity to consume will be equal to marginal propensity to save. That is 1 minus MPC is equal to MPS, right? Your total income would be divided into your consumption and savings. Whatever is not taken for consumption would be saved, and whatever is not taken for savings would be consumed. So these are the only two functions that we allow to your income. Only, that is only two functions, consumption, one is consumption and the other one is savings. So whatever is not saved would be consumed, and whatever is not consumed would be saved. This is our general assumption, and therefore multiplier would be equal to 1 by 1 minus MPC, that is equal to 1 by MPS. Sorry, there it was written was 1 by MPC, it is 1 by MPS. Okay. Now the multiplier can be derived algebraically as well. Like for example, we know that consumption is equal to C plus I, that is consumption, sorry, why your income is equal to C plus I, that means consumption and investment. And as in the case of multiplier analysis, where we are concerned with the changes in income induced by the changes in investment, if you rewrite the equation, you will, especially in terms of the changes in the variables we could have, by changes means you are giving the delta sign, that is delta Y is equal to delta C plus delta I. So in the simple Keynesian model of income determination, we have seen that changes in investment is considered to be autonomous or independent of the changes in the income, while changes in consumption is considered to be a function of your income. Now the consumption function, if you write the Keynesian consumption function, A is equal to By, which has an autonomous part A, which shows the consumption which is independent of your income, and By, B is your marginal propensity to consume and Y is your income. So in this formula, delta C is equal to B into delta Y. From this equation we can arrive at B, that is marginal propensity to consume as well. Here we could see that delta I by delta Y is equal to 1 by 1 minus MPC, that is 1 by MPS. Okay, and this is the same formula of multiplier as we have obtained earlier, and the value of multiplier would remain constant as long as the marginal propensity to consume would remain same. Now coming to the size or value of your investment multiplier. So how can you determine this? The multiplier tells us how much your income would increase as a result of your initial autonomous investment. So if there is an increase by ₹1, that is the investment multiplier is delta Y by delta I, the value would be equal to 1 by 1 minus MPC, that is this means that the value of investment multiplier will be equal to 1 minus 1 by 1 minus MPC or 1 by MPS, where we can find the value of the multiplier. So the value of multiplier can be obtained if we know the value of your MPS, either MPS or your MPC. Now the higher the marginal propensity to consume, the lower would be the value of marginal propensity to save. That means that your income is divided in two parts. If one is more, the other one is less. But whether it is less or more, the total of the two terms would be equal to your income, right? And for example, if your margin propensity is 0.8, your investment multiplier can be considered as 1 by, that is 1 by MB. Your this propensity to consume is 0.8, right? 1 by 1 minus 0.8, that is 1 by 0.2, which is equal to 1 into 10 by 2 is equal to 5. And if your MPC is 0.75, that means that 1 by 1 minus MPC, 1 by 1 minus 0.75, that is 1 by 0.25, which is equal to 4. Now, the size of the multiplier can be calculated using either the value of your MPC or MPS. And in fact, the value of multiplier is the reciprocal of your margin propensity to save. And when the margin propensity to consume is 0.8, obviously your margin propensity to save is 1 by 1 minus 0.8, that is 0.2. If MPC is 0.8, MPS is 1 minus 0.8, that is 0.2. Okay, and given the size of the multiplier, we can find out the increase in your income resulting from a certain increase in your investment. So if the marginal propensity to consume is 0.8, then with the increase in investment by 100 crores, we can see that the multiplier would be delta y by delta I, that is 1 by 1 minus MPC, that is equal to delta I into 1 by 1 minus P, that is 100 into 1 by 1 minus 0.8, which is 500. Now, we have to understand one thing, that there have been two limiting cases of the value of your multiplier. One limiting case occurs when the MPC would be equal to 1. That is when your whole increment of your income is consumed. So here you are not making any kind of savings, the entire income is used for consumption. In this case, the size of the multiplier will be equal to infinity. And this is a small increase in your investment will bring about a very large increase in your income as well as your employment, so that the full employment is reached and even progress goes beyond that. In such circumstances, we could see that the government would need to employ only one road builder to raise your income infinitely. So this would cause full employment, and then it is considered to be a limitless spiral of inflation. So, however, there is another situation. This is unlikely to occur, since the marginal propensity to consume in the real world, we know that it's less than 1. We will save a part of your income. So, we will save a part of our income. So, as a result, this is a very hypothetical situation, and the other limiting case would be that the marginal propensity is equal to 0. That means that you are not consuming. If there is an increase in your income, you are saving, you are not using that for your consumption. In this case, the value of multiplier would be equal to 1. That is, in this case, the increment in income would be equal to the original increase in investment and not a multiple of it. So in actual practice, the marginal propensity to consume is less than 1, but more than 0. That means that MPC is a value which lies between 0 and 1, and therefore the value of multiplier is considered to be greater than 1 but less than infinity. Now, coming to the working of multiplier and its assumptions, it has got like any other theory in the arena of economics, this too has got some assumption, and these assumptions too have received certain criticism from diverse angles. So first we have to understand that we have assumed that the MPC remains constant throughout your income. If your income is increasing or decreasing, whatever it may be, your MPC remains constant. That is one of your assumption, and this is however, you know that marginal propensity to consume, it may differ, right? With increase in your consumption expenditure, it can differ. So this constancy of marginal propensity to consume is considered to be a realistic assumption, but all available empirical evidence shows that marginal propensity to consume it can be stable in the short run, but in the long run there can be changes, right? And secondly, we could see that we have assumed that there is a net increase in investment in a period, and that there is no further indirect effects on investment in that period. And if at all there is any difference, that means there have been taken into these changes have been taken into account, so that there is a given net increase in investment. So further, we have assumed that there is no time lag between the increase in investment and resultant increment in income, but that is very difficult to assume, right? There would definitely be some time lag between increase in investment and increase resultant increase in income, because this whether it is direct effect or indirect effect, that cannot happen in one day or one fine morning. You can predict that. So it is really a matter of time, and that is increment in income takes place instantaneously. That won't happen. It is, especially in real world, that is not that won't happen, and this is really a hypothetical situation. And Keynes has ignored the time lag in the process of income generation, and therefore his multiplier is considered to be an instantaneous multiplier. In real world, we know that there would definitely be a time lag, but Keynes, what he has done is that he has ignored the time lag, and he has looked into the spontaneous effect of initial level of income or initial level of investment, creating a multiplier effect in income generation. In recent years, we could see that the importance of time lag has been recognized, and the concept of dynamic multiplier has been developed on that basis. Okay, so another important assumption here is that the excess capacity exists in consumer goods industry, so that when demand for them increases, more amounts of consumer goods can be produced to meet the demand. If there is no excess capacity in consumer goods industries, that means that increase in demand as a result of some original increase in investment will bring about rise in prices rather than increase in real income, output and employment. So we have to understand that Keynes multiplier was evolved in the context of advanced capitalistic economies, which were in the grip of depression. We have seen that the economy has to undergo through a period of depression, Great Depression, in the 1930s. And in times of depression, there was excess capacity in consumer good industries, especially due to lack of aggregate demand. And Keynesian multiplier, the effect of this multiplier is considered to be very small, especially in developing economies like India and all, since there is not much excess capacity in consumer good industries. Especially we are using labor abundant technologies. So in this case, developing economies don't face that much consumer, like that much capital problem with the capital capacity, or the excess capacity with respect to capital equipments and all. So we could see that the multiplier process, especially in the closed economy and all, have not taken into account the imports and exports. We have to understand how it is influencing an open economy, that is an economy which has some kind of trade relations with the rest of the world. So especially this is important when our economy is an open economy, right? We have trade relation with the rest of the world. So in this case, a part of your increment in consumption expenditure would have been made on imports of goods and services from abroad. So this would have caused increment in income in foreign countries rather than within the country, right? Because it is creating or it is generating income in some other countries. When you are consuming the goods which are imported from other countries, actually you are paying to the country which has produced the good that you are using now. So your income is going to some other country, and this will reduce the value of multiplier in your home country, and this will increase the value of the multiplier in the other country. So imports are considered to be a leakage. So this is considered to be a leakage from multiplier process, and we have ignored them in our above analysis for the purpose of simplicity. So it's worth noting that multiplier not only works in money terms, but also especially in real terms it works. So you can see that the multiplier increment in income is a result of a given increase in investment. This not only takes place in money terms, but also in real terms it plays a role. So when income increases as a result of investment, and this increments in income are spent on consumer goods, output of consumer goods is increased to meet the extra demand brought about by increased incomes. Therefore, real income or output increases by the same amount as the increment in money income, since prices of goods have been assumed to be constant. We know that there are excess productive capacity in consumer good industries, so that when the demand of consumer goods increases, their production can be increased to meet the demand. So because they don't, the producer needs not have to look for the machineries and all, because he has some machinery lying as idle, and he has not been using the machinery till then. So he could use the machinery for increasing the production. So if due to some bottlenecks output of goods cannot be increased, just suppose or think about that, in this case prices will rise, and as a result the real multiplier effect would be. Coming to the diagrammatic representation of multiplier, we see that the level of national income is determined by the equilibrium between the aggregate demand and aggregate supply, and that is C plus I, right? So the multiplier effect is illustrated here in this figure. You could see that the marginal propensity to consume has been assumed to be 0.5. Therefore, the slope of the curve would be 0.5, and C plus I represents your aggregate demand curve, that is your Y, right? And here you measure your national income on x-axis and saving and investment on the y-axis, and you can see that if investment increases by the amount of EH, then increase in investment would lead to aggregate demand curve to shift upward to a new position, that is C plus I. Okay, so this aggregate demand curve C plus I intersects the income line at point F, so the equilibrium level of income increases to OF. So all these as a result of net increase in investment, thus income has an increase by y2 y2, and on measuring it this will found to be y1 y2, that is twice the length of EH. So the multiplier can be illustrated through saving and investment diagram also. So look into this. I will give a detailed explanation so this figure 10.2, it reveals the increase in your income, that is y1 y2, and this is greater than the increase in income II. Okay, so the investment this is because as we have assumed that the MPS is equal to 1 by 2, the marginal propensity to consume would also be equal to 1 by 2 because half, and the marginal propensity to save here is equal to 1 by 2, and the multiplier on the basis of that, the formula that we have discussed would be equal to 2. Now coming to the leakages of the multiplier process, we have told one of the leakages already, that is what? Your imports. So another leakage is saving. So you could see that had there been no saving, then as a result of marginal propensity to consume, what? So the entire thing would be consumed. If there is zero saving, that means that entire thing would be consumed. MBC would be equal to 1, and the multiplier would be infinite. So in this case, as a result of some initial increase in income, the income would go on rising infinitely, and this is considered to be a limiting case. And so multiplier in actual practice, we know that it's less than infinity, and the increase in income as a result of increase in investment will be less than the warranted by the size of multiplier and assured by the given marginal propensity to consume. And the various leakages that occur in income stream and reduce the size of multiplier in the real world should be explained. So first thing is that paying of tax. In the real world, we know that all income received by the people as a result of some increase in investment is not consumed. A part would be saved, and the income used for paying back your tax don't get spent on consumer goods and services, and therefore this is considered to be a leakage, and this reduces your size of the multiplier. And of course, when incomes are received by money lenders, banks or institutions, these again lend back to the people, and this income, they come back to income stream and enhance the size of the multiplier. But this may or may not happen. We cannot predict, or we cannot be sure that this will happen. So there are chances that this may happen. And secondly, holding of idle cash balances. If you're holding your cash balances, it is neither consumed nor saved. You are just holding it. If people hold a part of their increment in income as idle cash balances and do not use it for consumption, that means that this would be a leakage in the multiplier process, and people actually, they keep a part of their income for satisfying their precautionary or speculative motives, because these two are one of the two of the important motives for which you use your money. But this is considered to be a leakage from your multiplier generation or income generation with the multiplier effect. Now coming to imports, we have already told this imports, because you are importing, that means that you are not paying for your own home country, you are paying for your for the country from which you have imported the goods. So here the proportion of the increment income spent on imports of the consumer goods will generate income in other countries and will not help raising income and output in the domestic economy, and therefore imports constitute another important leakage from multiplier. So suppose that the MPS in open economy is 1/4, MPC would be 3/4, right? And suppose further the marginal propensity to import is 1/4, size of multiplier without imports will be equal to 4, and but the size of the multiplier, which the marginal propensity to import, would be equal to 1/4, and MPC equal 3. So in this case, what happened? A multiplier in an open economy will be 1 by 1 minus MPC minus MPI. MPI means a marginal propensity to import. Here MPI is what? A marginal propensity to import is 1/4. That is 1 by 1 minus MPC plus MPI. That is here marginal propensity to consume plus marginal propensity to import is taken into consideration. So both are taken into consideration here. Marginal propensity to consume is equal to 3/4 and marginal propensity to import is 1/4. So the multiplier effect would be K is equal to 1 by 1 minus 3/4 minus 1/4. This is equal to 2. And as a result, you could see the size of the multiplier, instead of being equal to 4, as it would be in the case of a closed economy, now it is only 2, which means that with the increase in your imports, your marginal multiplier effect on income generation is coming down. Now coming to taxation, how it is influencing your multiplier effect. So this again is considered to be one of the leakages of your income generation process as a result of multiplier effect. You can see that the increment in income which the people receive as a result of increasing investment are spent for the paying of taxes. Here money is raised through taxation spent by the government. The leakage through taxation will be offset by the increase in your increase in government expenditure, but it is not necessary that all income raised through taxation is spent by the government, as it happens when the government makes a surplus budget. If the government expenditure increased by an amount which is equal to taxation, it would not have any adverse effect on increase in income and or increase in investment, and this will lead to leakage. This will actually lead to no leakage in the multiplier process. So next one is the increase in increase in prices. This is another important leakage. When output of consumer goods cannot be easily increased, what happens? The price will increase, right? And here the multiplier is reduced to the extent of price inflation. You have to understand that in developing economies and all, extra incomes and demand are mostly spent on food grains. So and in the case of food grains, you cannot increase the production of food grains in one fine day, because it has got its own time. So it's a time consuming process. So you cannot increase the production of food grains in one fine day. So on one fine day, you cannot make sure that you have plenty or ample amount of food grains with you, not to supply if there is ample demand in the market. So it's a matter of time. So since it's a matter of time, you have to wait. So that means that within that frame, what happens is that within that span, there would be an increase in prices. This especially happens in the case of developing economies and all. When the income and demand increase as a result of increase in investment, it generally raises the prices of goods rather than output. So this would weaken the working of the multiplier in real terms, and it was considered to be a Keynesian theory of multiplier effect. And actually Keynesian theory of multiplier effect was not that much relevant to the conditions of developing economy like India and all. We have already said that, and he has actually developed his concept of multiplier especially with reference to the capitalist economies, when these economies have faced the problem of Great Depression during the 1930s. Now coming to the multiplier with the changes in price level, so we have seen how prices or the changes in price is influencing the generation of income via multiplier effect. So if you are looking into the case of a short-run aggregate supply curve which slope upward, we can see that a rightward shift in aggregate demand curve rises at equilibrium GNB, and this won't be equal to the horizontal shift in the aggregate demand curve, but this would be less than. Consequently, the size of the multiplier would be smaller than the simple Keynesian multiplier, and this is because a part of your expansionary effect of GNB as a result of increasing your autonomous government expenditure is offset by the changes in price or your price level. So this figure actually explains the same. You can see that the upward sloping curve can be seen here, and in the panel, top panel, you could see that aggregate expenditure curve, that is AER, intersects the 45-degree line, and Y0 is determined the equilibrium level of GNB, and in the bottom panel you can see that the demand curve and the supply curve intersect at point B dash, and where GNB level is determined at K0. Y0, and here you can suppose that there is an increase in your autonomous expenditure, or suppose that the autonomous expenditure increases by AI. So as a result, the aggregate expenditure curve AE shift upward to AE1, and the lower panel you can see that due to upward shift in the aggregate expenditure curve, the aggregate demand curve shifts rightward from AD to AD1, and the horizontal shift in aggregate demand curve is actually this could be determined by the increase in the aggregate expenditure multiplied by the simple Keynesian multiplier. Okay, so but the upward sloping short-run aggregate supply curve SAS with the new aggregate demand curve AD1, here the price level does not remain fixed. Here the aggregate demand curve AD1 intersects the short-run aggregate supply curve SAS at point R dash, and as a result of price level will rise to P. Now, with the rise in price to P1, aggregate expenditure curve in the upper panel will not remain unaffected, but it will shift downward. And this fall in aggregate expenditure curve is due to the adverse effects of wealth or real balances, interest rate or net exports. So, with the rise in price level, real value of purchasing power of wealth this would come down. This will make to spend less, and the rise in price level reduces supply of real money balances that cause the shift in the money supply curve to left. So, given the demand function for money, which is MD, the decline in the real money supply will cause rate of interest to rise. So, the interest rate will induce private investment expenditure to decline, and as a result, you could see that at last the rise in price level in the domestic economy will adversely affect the exports of the country. As a result, this will cause the net exports to fall. Now, your export has fallen. Here, what happens is that you don't have that much money with you because the income that you receive from export has come down. So, as a result of the negative effects of rise in price level on real wealth and private investment and net exports in the upper panel, aggregate expenditure curve shifts downward to AE1, so that it remains it would determine GNB level at Y1, and the aggregate expenditure curve AE1 intersect the 45-degree line. So this corresponds to the intersection of aggregate demand curve AD1 with the short run aggregate supply curve. So the upward sloping short run aggregate supply curve, with this we could see that the effect of increased autonomous expenditure can also be seen. So first, the increase in investment expenditure shift the aggregate expenditure curve AE upward in the right panel. Now second, you can see that the stage due to in the second stage you can see that due to upward sloping short-run aggregate supply curve SAS, the rightward shift in the aggregate demand curve causes the price level to rise from P0 to P1, and this will decrease GNP from Y2 to Y1, and so these are some of the effects, right? So thank you for all. You could see that how investment multiplier is working in an economy. So I hope you have understood this concept, the concept of investment multiplier. It is not over. I have certain other topics to be discussed with which is in connection with the investment multiplier. So I'll be doing that soon. I'll be uploading the video soon. So thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe this channel for more videos, and I am welcoming you to my Telegram group and Telegram channel. So where you are free to discuss your doubts, you can get clarifications regarding your doubts and all. So with that, we end here right now. Once again, thank you.